Hey guys, welcome to 7th grade lesson 14. So let's try with number 2. Number 2 asks how long the June bug and the ant are combined. So the June bug, it has a length of 2.36 centimeters and the ant has a length of 1.25 centimeters. And when it asks for combined, it is asking for addition. And so in this case, you would do 2.36 plus 1.25, and when you do 6 plus 5, you get 11. You carry the 1 up here, which would make it 3 plus 2, which is 5 plus 1, and that gives you 6. You put the decimal here, 2 plus 1 is 3, and so your answer would be 3.61 centimeters. Okay, so let's do the next page. Let's do number 4. So number 4 asks how many more points did Owen score than Anna? And when it asks for how many more, it is asking for subtraction. And so you do Owen's score first, 28.74, minus Anna's score, which is 18.6, and you put the 0 because it is 1 decimal place, but you want it to be the same as Owen, which is 2 decimal places. So you put the 0 to just even it out. There's no difference between this 18.60 and 18.6. It is the same number, I just added a 0. So when you subtract 4 minus 0 would be 4. 7 minus 1 would be 1. You put the decimal. 8 minus 8 is 0. 2 minus 1 is 1. So your answer would be A, 10.14. Now, on the next page, let's do number 2. Number 2 is 15 divided by negative 3 over 4. And now when you divide by a fraction, it is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal of the fraction, which is literally these two numbers flipped upside down. So your equation would look like 15 times negative 4 over 3, which would be the same thing as dividing by negative 3 over 4. So when you get that, you would get 15 times 4, which is 60. And since this is 15 is the same thing as 15 over 1, 1 times 3 would be 3. And so, and you don't forget to transfer the negative to here. So you would end up with negative 60 divided by 3, which you would get an answer of negative 20. Let's try number 4. So number 4 is negative 1 over 2 divided by 1 over 5. Now when you divide by a fraction, again, it's the same exact rule. You take away, you erase the division sign, and you flip the 1 over 5, so it becomes a 5 over 1, and you just change the division sign to a multiplication. Then you would get negative 1 over 2 multiplied by 5. And when you multiply across, you just get 5 over 2. And since one of them is a negative, you would put the negative in the front. So your answer would be negative 5 over 2. Let's go to the next page. So on the next page, we have 3 word problems. So let's go to number 3. Number 3 is asking, in a trivia competition, your team earns 60, negative 100, 300, 120, and negative 80 points on 5 questions. The 6th question has a value of 300 points. By how many points will your team's mean score per question change if you answer the 6th question correctly? So, first you would start off with finding the mean to all of the scores. And so in order to do that, you add all of the numbers, which would be 60 plus 300 plus 120 plus negative 100 and plus negative 80. So when you add all this up, you get a total of, so when you add these negative values, it would be the same thing as subtracting. So it would be 60 minus 100 plus 300 plus 300 plus 120 minus 80. So when you add all of them up, 60 minus 100 would be negative 40. Negative 40 plus 300 would be 260. And 260 plus 120 would become 380. And 380 minus 80 would equal 300. So, and to find the mean, you would have to divide the whole sum, which is 300. You would have to divide 300 by the number of values in the data. So the number of values in the data would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 questions, so 5 values. So you divide 300 by 5. And when you divide 300 by 5, you would get the value of 60. So currently your mean is 60. So we have to hold on to that number because it's asking by how much does it change, does this score change if you get the last question correct. So since the last question is 300, if you get it correct, it would add 300 to your score. And currently your team's score has a score of 300. So when you add those two numbers together, you get 600. And when you get 600, again, you have to divide your total number of points by the number of values, which there are 6 questions, and so there are 6 values. When you divide 600 divided by 6, you get 100. So you use this number that we just found and the 60 that we held on to earlier, and we subtract 60 from 100 to see how much the value has changed. And when you do 60 minus 100, or 100 minus 60, you get a value of 40. Okay, that's it for today's